Nadia!
Nadia, besok deadline!
Work projection.
characterized by the global impact of human activities on the Earth system. In Greek language, anthro means human and anthropocene means the age of human. So it's very much about human. And a popular theory say that the Anthropocene began at the start of the Industrial Revolution, which is it was on 18th centuries, when human activity had a great impact on the planet, especially when we talk about carbon and methane released to the atmosphere. And it also very influenced other physical state of the planet Earth. Okay, so before the Anthropocene, the climate was stable and warm. If you see the previous slide, there is a Holocene. In the Holocenes, before Anthropocene, they are Holocene. In this Holocene, the climate of the planet Earth was stable and warm. It made human who previously lived as a hunter-gatherer society to urban and agricultural settled society. The Holocene, here the Holocene, is the only state in which we know humanity can thrive, can grow, supported by the planet. While today, this is today, there are 7.5 billion humans has to be supported by the planet, but the planet is reaching its tipping point. Here's the tipping point or the threshold. So what will happen next? It will depend on our act now. Can be very warm or slightly warmer or stable like a Holocene state. It depends on us. These are some trends on what happened on Earth system. There are greenhouse gases, ozone depletion, climate, marine ecosystem, forest, and some other things. The graph is start from about 2 or 3 years ago. And if you look closely into this chart, all of these charts, there are sudden acceleration, sudden increase on each system at the certain point. See the vertical line here? So after this, everything will go accelerate. So can anyone guess what happened on that period? Write your guess on the chat group if you want. And also here's the socioeconomic trend. There are population also increasing, economic growth, energy use because of the population increase, transport and communication. So the trends are similar. It accelerates greatly on the same period with the Earth system. Now, is anyone answering the question? Okay, no. So the answer is it's industrial revolution. This 1950 is industrial revolution, or specifically the third industrial revolution, where there are invention on automation. If the first industrial revolution about mechanization, the second industrial revolution about electricity, the third industrial revolution is about automation. And now we are reaching the fourth, and it's about artificial intelligence. So this is the third industrial revolution. All these inventions are good for us, we can tell, but at the same time, they are also hurting the planet to the point that it is no longer viable to live in. If we still do what we do today, what will happen next? So scientists have estimated boundaries in which we, humankind, can still thrive, can still grow, supported by the planet. And if we cross that boundaries, we're basically doomed. The Earth will be a hostile place for us to live in. What are those boundaries? Here's the visual. So in order to maintain a global environment that is conducive for human development and well-being, we must define and respect these planetary boundaries. Or we have to be in a safe operating space for humanity. If we don't know how far are we from this boundary, there will no effort for improvement, right? So, but the goal is we must return to the long-term stable goal environment, like Holocene, so we can sustainably thrive and survive in this planet. So this picture shows that we already reached some of the limit of the Earth system, like biodiversity. We are on a massive species extinction since after the dinosaur era, and the nitrogen cycle from the waste of agriculture and industry. Yeah, right here, and also the climate change right here. So the thing is, these aspects are interconnected. So when we reach the limit at one aspect, it will easier to reach the limit of another. So now we know that the world is getting warmer and warmer, and the narrative of climate change is everywhere already. The good news is some effort has been made to minimize the negative impact of climate change, but we are not good enough. So there are already effort, and the United Nations also have an overarching agenda. Maybe you have heard it or being part of it. They call it Sustainable Development Goals. It's right here. Here's the keyword is sustainable. Sustainability means the capacity, okay, the capacity to survive for long period of time for human civilization to exist with Earth, the other system on the Earth. So that's the background. So what we can do? What is our part in this effort? Well, basically you can contribute on every goals, but today I want to focus on the sixth goal, that is affordable and clean energy. Okay. I'm seeing the chat room if there's any. Okay, thank you, Miss Layla, for translating. So here's the zoom in. These are points of the global targets on energy. First, increase electrification. Second, produce electrification is pemasangan listrik ya, ditingkatkan, and then produce cheaper energy, more investment in renewable source of energy. It's about financing and banking, expanding infrastructure, and upgrading technology to provide clean and more efficient energy. This is the global target. This is the target also has been translated into the national target. And here's Indonesia target related to energy. Basically, we want almost 100 electrification rate by 2025. now only 76%, because in the remote area, in the islands, in the faraway islands, it's really challenging to install the electricity. Maybe Prof. Enjang can tell more about this later. And renewable energy, and the second target is renewable energy share in the national energy mix. It's 23% by 2025 and 31% by 2050. Sorry. Energy mix means we still use fossil-based energy, but the percentage is lower and lower over time. You can see here in the chart, the oil, minyak here, still 39%, and in energy mix for renewable energy, it's lower, and it's even lower in the 2050. Meanwhile, the renewable energy from 7% to 23% to 31%. Here's the national goal. Okay, the barriers. Barriers is the challenge, obstacles, tantangan. Jadi, what are the barriers? So, the key barriers for renewable energy is the deep-rooted market for coal and other fossil fuel. It means there are powerful political and economic forces seeking to maintain and grow the market for fossil fuel. You can watch like Sexy Killer in the YouTube. I think that's a good representation for this barrier by Dendi Laksono ya. Okay, and then in some settings, solar and wind or renewable energy must compete against subsidized fossil fuel. So today, the government is subsidizing the fossil fuel. So our electricity use is become cheap, and the renewable energy must compete with that. If there's still a subsidy on fossil fuel, then the fossil fuel will be always cheaper than renewable energy. Then no one will use renewable energy. So that's one of the challenge. And then the third challenge is technical. The renewable energy supplies, it's very technical, and maybe you are the more expert than me for this one. There's a challenge in current grid management capacity, and it require major improvement for a large-scale transition to power resources. So the first two are more political economics barrier, and the third is more technical barrier. And since you are an electrical engineers, the next slide will discuss more on the technical barriers. And the fact is the barrier is interconnected. So improvement in one of the aspect of this barrier can influence other. So if the technical barrier are addressed, it can be a leverage point for addressing the remaining barriers. Okay. So what is your role here? First of all, I'd like to make a disclaimer. Electrical engineering is not my expertise, and I don't know everything about what are you studying, but I look for it. I get the general picture and will speak accordingly and based on my experience. So, from what I understand, electrical engineering's world, it's so broad. You could work in multiple different industries or sectors. Your expertise are integral part of thousands of companies. And this includes from electrical power generation and distribution to transportation to telecommunication, electronics, computers, and basically anything that uses technology today has a direct or non-direct influence of electrical engineer. So you are the technology expert. And your role here in renewable energy transition are to be the frontliner of innovation. Because in the future, this innovation will make renewable energy more accessible than ever before. Okay, so the picture, do you know who Bill Gates is? Of course you do. So this is the most recent book wrote by Bill Gates. The title is How to Avoid Climate Disaster. And Bill Gates in this book is a very popular book nowadays and very easy to read. So in this book, Bill Gates emphasized the role of innovation and technology to avoid climate disaster. He not only explained why we need to work toward renewable energy, but also the detail on what we need to do to achieve this profoundly important goal. And he wrote, we need to accomplish something gigantic we have never done before, much faster than we have ever done anything similar. So it's a good reading. If you want to learn more about climate change, you can start from this book. Because from someone you know and very impactful. So moving on, electrical engineers have power in design, develop, test, research, and supervise the development, the manufacturing or installation of equipment and components or system of renewable energy production. That's a very critical role of electrical engineers. The life cycle of energy production. And I want to break it into 4 big processes. They are input, material and design, consumption and distribution, and finally waste. So our goal is here to make this cycle more efficient, less waste, less damage, affordable, and sustainable. In these 4 processes, electrical engineer could apply the logic, the physics, the mathematics of the electricity you learn to design equipment and optimize the system to support the shift toward sustainability. So maybe you ask in what exactly? Okay. The first one is about resource and material. So we know that renewable energy are ways to generate energy from theoretically unlimited natural resources. We call it unlimited because the resources are either available with no time limit or can be replenished. Replenish means refill or diperbaharui more quickly than the rate in which they are consumed. So it means that diperbaharuinya lebih cepat daripada dikonsumsinya. Itu adalah definisi of renewable energy. And the examples are sunlight, water, wind, and biomass. And this renewable energy are generally spoken as the opposed to fossil fuel energy. So the fossil fuel stocks are limited and or non-renewable in human time scale. And you know the example is coal, oil or the gas. They actually can be replenished. Replenish mean refill, as I said. It's there from organic matters and geological and physical processes. But at the rate means kecepatan, dalam kecepatan yang much slower than they produce. So we call them depletable or non-renewable. And this is the fact that every year a massive scale of fossil fuel pollute the earth, and scientists estimate that we have consumed about 40% of the world's oil. And at this rate, we will run out of oil in 50 years from now. Or for coal, it's 100 years. On the other hand, we have abundant sunlight, water, wind, biomass, which are all renewable energy sources. So when we talk about fossil fuel, once again, we are reaching the limit. So we urge to move towards sustainable energy use using renewable sources. In the context of Indonesia, these are our potential for renewable energy. Here we can see that we have abundant source of energy and only have utilized, or we only use about 2 or 3% of it. It means it's a good news that we have the abundant resource, but it also means we have a big homeworks here to make them viable, make them usable. So number one is your number one role is to fix the mindset to move toward more renewable sources of energy. If it's not renewable, make it more efficient. And these are the next. The design. So renewable energy is very technical, and if you I think you know it better than me for this part, but I'll try my best. Number two is design. Renewable energy has fluctuating nature in terms of input and output. They have high variability. Like in fossil fuel, like coal, for example, we can stock them in piles, put somewhere and use it as we wish, how much and when. While in solar energy, they are more variable in it. So in terms of time, we can only harvest it on daylight. And in terms of storage, we have not discovered the efficient storage system for this. And there's also wind and stream, which we don't know when will it come and go. So on the other hand, there are also problems in access and quality of energy, especially between West Indonesia and eastern part of Indonesia, and where some major islands such as Java and Bali and Sumatra are oversupplied. Meanwhile, the rural area are deprived atau undersupplied of this electrification. So in the future, as we are an archipelagic nation with thousands of islands spread across the country, if you want to boost electrification, we are looking to develop more localized energy source, utilizing local potential, adapting micro or mini grids, and in short, renewable energy requires innovation in producing, storing, and delivering electricity. That makes the technical expertise of electrical engineers professional a vital resource to establish environmentally friendly practices. This is also the work or job opportunities is so big here in the future. Number 3 is consumption and distribution. So the idea is we need to create more efficient way to consume energy. It means we use appliances that are less energy intensive to reduce the amount of electricity used per product. We're going to have to get we have to be very creative at this point in designing and in producing. So here in the left side is the picture of the sticker that we can always see in every electronic appliances in Australia. This visualize the efficiency of the appliance directly. We can see here how many stars does it have. So the more star it appears, the more efficient it is. So customer can choose rationally, even though it's expensive. If they have 5 stars or this one is 6-star rating, they will willing to pay the bill, the expensive appliances, but lower bill monthly for electricity. And these are just example. And you here as a electrical engineers, you can act in the supply side as designer and producer of this equipment, or in the demand side as a user, or both. You can act both too. So number 4 is waste. Here is the reverse pyramid of waste management concept. If you notice, the first thing is here is reduce. Why? Because it has always been the main priority in waste management. Reduce or prevent the waste generation from the beginning. Because the more you shift into the next phase, this phase, the harder it can be to manage and process it. And the value of the material also will be reduced. Long-lasting material.
Hello, Miss Gina.
Yeah.
I think your there's something with your earphone.
Oh, okay.
What weird.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, so where are we? Okay, well, what we do is to choose long-last material which are recyclable or reusable. So we can see here there are also benefits of sustainable waste management, as it saves money, especially because of the expensive cost of waste disposal or process. And it can also improve efficiency. And nowadays, people realize that sustainability is good for business. People and companies want to do business with people and companies that support the environment. And the last would be, it's simply because it's the right thing to do. Okay, and producing solar panels and windmills also required to mine, to get to menambang gitu ya, to mine steel, fiberglass, and all type of material that need to be processed. So use the more long-last process and long-last material. And finally, the last part is be critical. The last thing you can do is be critical. And so yes, we want renewable energy, and yes, we believe it's better than fossil fuel now, but we must also realize that renewable energy is not without cost. It is not as clean as we thought. So this is where we have to be very critical. And for example, producing, like what I said, solar panels and windmills requires a lot of mining or resources. And in the process, the blade of windmill can kill birds and other wildlife. Also, if you talk about the hydropower, oh, we need to dry out some river to build a hydropower plant. Also, in solar panel, we need massive area of land to install the solar panel. So we need to clear the land. And I mean that the idea is it has its own cost too. And we want to make sure that we take everything into account. It means dipikirkan semua aspeknya gitu, baik buruknya, dihitung when we think about innovation for renewable energy. So, but for now, even though there are drawbacks, ada kekurangannya of renewable energy, it is still the desirable for long term. And you as electrical engineers, as I say, play an important role in this to making it even more desirable and efficient in the future. Finally, conclusion. So today, just the beginning of the transition toward renewable energy. And that means there are great deal of work ahead. You have a lot of jobs opening ahead for professionals who are building careers in electrical engineering. Renewable energy project could bring a lot of opportunity and rewarding opportunity and the change to make difference in our planet future. And for you, those who want to be a teacher or lecturer, here you have also a huge responsibility to bring the future generation to choose more sustainable behavior and jobs in your role. And for you who wants to be a banker, for example, you can choose to finance. This is the important part of renewable energy too, to finance business that are good for the environment. Or if you want to have your own business, you can always choose a more efficient, environmentally friendly process throughout the product cycle. So saving Earth is a collective effort. No one can do everything, but everyone can do something. Thank you. Here's the question and answer maybe.
Okay, Miss Dina, thank you so much for your explanation. Okay, friends, if you want to ask anything, you can ask later. Bentar. Okay, if you want to ask anything, you can ask on. If there is not much of a questions, you can ask directly. You can raise your hand. If there's a lot of questions, probably you can write down your question on chat. Go ahead, guys. If you want to ask question, probably raise your hand first. If I saw many people who wants to ask questions, you can write down your question on chat. Okay, 5 is pretty much pretty apa ya? Cukup banyak. Pretty if you it's fine also. You can actually everyone please write down Neneng, Saika, Rehan, Agustian, Rizal, and Dimas. You can write down your questions on chat first, and then the first question will be answered probably. It's only 5 questions, guys. If you want to ask question but doesn't want to raise your hand because I don't know, embarrassed or anything, you can write down your questions ya on chat. Silahkan. Tapi sebelumnya teman-teman yang udah angkat tangan boleh you can write down your questions. And then I will ask you to read your questions later after you. Okay, Rehan, good. Thank you, Rehan. You can also, okay, Dimas, where are you? Gak jadi, Dim?
Kepencet.
Okay. Okay, Miss Dina, you probably can also see the questions and prepare your answer if you have to.
Okay, maybe I'll try to answer one of the question first.
Okay, I want to ask the question about the person who asked question to read their question first, I think.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe first the first question first. So one first at a time and one question at a time, maybe.
Okay, it's okay. Okay, we have a lot of time apparently. And the question only 5, guys. The other, you can ask questions. Anything. Okay, the first question is from Raihan. Okay, Raihan, please give the questions or read the question for us.
Okay, Miss. Thank you for the chance. I want to ask about the renewable energy. As we know, renewable energy is good for us, but as we know too that not every human is good. And I want to ask too, there is a possibility of abuse in the practice of renewable energy? And if there is, what is example? Thank you.
Okay, Miss Dina, is that okay?
Okay, cool. I'll try
Okay.
to answer the question first. One question at a time. Okay, thank you, Raihan, for the question. It's a very good question, and it's also in line in what I said before in the last slide about we have to be more critical. So the question, I will repeat the question again. So is there a possibility of abuse in practice of renewable energy? What is and what are the example? If so, what are the example? So maybe what I want to interpret what abuse mean here. Maybe you mean it's a violation or there's something doesn't right in the practice. Is that true, Raihan?
Like politik penyalahgunaan gitu.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, good.
Ya, penyalahgunaan yang membuat dampak buruk gitu.
Okay, thank you. There's actually more of this abuse in practice than we think it is, especially when it comes about bioenergy, but biomass. We know that biomass is, we have biosolar, like, or biomass, like we can we can grow trees and then we make it a pellet from the trees and then we burn it as a substitute of coal. So the abuse here is usually in a field when we need a great amount of land to grow, for example, the tree for biomass or the oil palm, the kelapa sawit ya, oil palm to biomass, and they can entail a lot of problem like conflict in land management. There's like a land conflict like penggusuran dan segala macam. Terus there are also land clearing, jadi lahannya dibersihkan, terus biodiversity-nya atau keanekaragaman hayatinya also gone, and also especially when it comes to maybe in a mendekati election period and pemilu gitu. Terus masalah perizinan, permit, masalah perizinan misalnya when we have a certain rule about the permission of land to be used for energy. But ketika when a leader of an area wants to join the election, sometimes the permit, the rules are cut off. So kalau misalnya pemimpinnya mau ikutan pemilu misalnya, kadang-kadang biar elektabilitas dia tinggi, jadi perizinannya dipermudah gitu. That's one of the abuse untuk for the land clearing for biofuel, for example. That's also clear energy kan, clean energy. Tapi ya in practice, a lot of things going on, and it's a very complex problems. So thank you for the question. That's very important to point out. I think that's a good question. And moving forward, maybe to the next question.
Okay, thank you, Rehan.
Is that answering your question, Rehan?
Okay. Rehan, is that?
Okay, for me is clearly enough. Thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you, Rehan. Neneng, I cannot see your question. Miss, there is in chat, Miss. Oh, okay. Okay, you can also please read your question. Okay, thank you, Miss. So I want to ask, in Indonesia, there are still many people who are unfamiliar with renewable energy. According to you, Miss, what should we do as a college do so that Indonesian people are more aware of how important renewable energy? Thank you, Miss. Good question, Neneng. Good.
Yeah, very practical question, Neneng. Okay, so Indonesia is still not familiar with renewable energy. True. Not all people know about renewable energy, and even if they know, they will not accept it easily. They have to be proven. They have to see the proof that it's good for them, because the people is they care more about, for example, the price. If it's low, the price is low, they will choose that. So if the price is high, they will not choose it. And about the availability, if it's sering biar gitu, it's not reliable, they won't use it. And if it's good, they will use it, even though it may be a higher price. Especially when it comes to our personal well-being, our personal level of economy. Like if we still need to think about what I mean, we in the level in which we are in a low level economy. Why do we want to use a higher price of energy? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not that people have to be familiar or with that. Just we have maybe give them education is good, but that's very, can I say that's very cliche, because they need something proven in practice. So they know and they'll shown this is good for them. Maybe it takes times, but eventually it will reach the point they'll gain the trust of renewable energy. So maybe the first thing to do here for college just I think about you have the like KKN program, right?
Right, Miss.
Yeah, maybe use that opportunity to introduce renewable energy to people in a remote area, maybe in a island that has not been receive electricity or still using diesel. Maybe you can try to install there or speak to them about this, or looking for the opportunity or the potential in the area. And many more actually. Maybe you can do it from yourself by but savings the electricity at home. Okay.
Okay, Miss. Thank you,
very much,
Miss.
Neneng. You're welcome.
Okay. So, Miss, for Indonesian citizen whose income is lower than average people in the world, a practical approach is more important.
That's right. That's
Okay. Thank you, Miss
important way to
Dina.
say it.
Okay. Next, result.
Okay, Miss, thank you. I have question about renewable energy, and I quote Miss Dina say that alternative energy source have a very positive impact on the environment and reduce emission that are bad for the surrounding environment. Why why are alternative energy sources that we must rely on are still well used by Indonesian? There any inhibiting factor? Thank you, Miss.
Okay. Thank you, Rizal, for the question. Yeah, this is the big problems. These are the big problems. We know that it's good, but why we don't use it already? Like it's a very there's a lot of layer in this. As I said in the presentation, that there are barriers in this transition from renewable energy. So when I say we know that this is good, but who are we? Who knows that this is good or better? Again, even the government or the leader or the company and every aspect, do they really know or do they really realize that it is good? Because until they really know, until they realize fully, or until the economical atmosphere give them the enabling condition that for the renewable energy, they will not shift to the renewable energy. They will still on the what we have now. It's like an addiction. So we are addict to coal energy because it's cheap and it's reliable, especially in a big city. So why must we shift to the other thing that are more variability, uncertain, and more high in price? But so we are a long way to go, but we are in the transition. So over time, the renewable energy will be cheaper. And now the global financing, like banks, like World Banks or IMF or any other global financing organization, have realized that they will stop to invest in projects that are hurting the environment. So I think that's a good start too. So, and the bank, our local and national bank too, will start thinking about that, and they really need to be to to work together in this. And also there's an important thing. So we are the nation with a very lot of coal here in Indonesia. We have hyper coal nation. We have so many stock of coal batu bara. Jadi transition to when we say that renewable energy will be cheaper and cheaper, it has to be cheaper than batu bara, which now already cheap and will still cheap for a long time period unless they are political keberpihakan gitu.
Okay. Rizal?
Okay, thank you, Miss Dina, for the answer.
Thank you juga Rizal.
Okay, so again, it's back to the economy and whether it is affect their life or not.
Yes, that's true. Because the thing,
Okay.
the main problem is the socio-economic. The technical is still the problem, but if the socio-economic and political aspect are agree or have one vision, that the technical also will ikut serta gitu.
Okay. I don't know. Can I ask question? Okay, if it is, what do you think makes the government still berpihak to fuel from
Okay.
instead of renewable energy?
Okay, so in the chat room, I'll write the movie in the YouTube. You can use it. You can watch it on YouTube. Sexy Killer by Denny Laksono. It's about why we really hard to phase out to apa ya, mengeluarkan meninggalkan batu bara, the coal, batu bara kan majority of our energy is from the coal. Why it's really hard. It basically say that the big actor or the big owner of a coal company are sit in the parliament, for example. So they are they're the one that have big power in changing the policies.
All right.
That's why it's very difficult. It's so hard to. There are pressure from international community. There are pressure for Indonesia. There are also some movies about this, but still, in practice, not that easy.
Okay, I feel like cheating because I asked you a question. There are a lot of questions from the students. I'm sorry, students. Ahnaf.
Okay. Technology like IT. IT, information and technology. This is not actually my expertise, so I'm not familiar with this, but okay. I don't know about IT, but I do read something about the more hardware, electrical engineer work. So it's can I give to my presentation? There are something about this that I think it's really relevant to answer the question. So what is it? Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me share a screen. Okay, here. Oops. Sorry. That's broken. Okay, I'll just gonna read this, but no. share. Can you see it? Can you see the slide? Can everyone see the slide about design?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so we need the energy. We need the renewable energy became more efficient from it was from it is today. So they need the system, the equipment, and everything involved has to be more efficient. And also we need a storage system. And the storage system is maybe this is the IT has something to do in this storage system. And also in the future we have projects, a lot of projects in microgrids installation. So like in this slide there in the picture, the microgrid is basically a smart there's a smart function, a smart house here to manage, to regulate the flow of electricity from the source to the consumer. So maybe the IT have the important role here, but I don't know that technical. Maybe if you know someone or you can jump in to answer that question, that's good. But I said that these are the main opportunity or the main problem that has to be addressed by electrical engineers and IT is to stabilize the variability of renewable energy. Because renewable energy is very unstable in nature. Okay.
Okay, is there anyone who I don't know, probably have information about that? Can I maybe? I don't know whether it is true or not, but I heard that if you have email and put some files on our Google Drive and everything, if we doesn't use it, we have to delete it immediately because it will help the storage on the Google itself, and then probably the storage will be as little as possible. They don't need to add their storage and then their machine, if I'm not mistaken. What do you think, Ms. Dina?
Yeah, I think that's important too in the demand, in the consumer side of the renewable energy. From Ms. Laila, thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
The consumer side and the producer side, that also need to be integrated. So maybe Riza, you can look more on this microgrid installation from Google if you want to learn more about this. I will share this presentation later, so you can look it up after this session.
Okay, Anaf, thank you. I forget when you ask question, please also mention your class because it's from many class, so it's hard for me to find your name. Okay, Dimas, you can ask question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nurlain. First of all, I'm sorry for not being on camera because my network is not stable. The main challenge for renewable energy is that it's less competitive. LCOE, levelized cost of electricity, or the average cost of electricity is still very high compared to electricity generated from fossil fuels. Then, in terms of human resources, the readiness of human resources also needs to be improved to achieve workforce skill in operation and maintenance of renewable energy technology. I want to ask to Miss Dina, what do you think about Indonesia's great potential for new and renewable energy development? And what's your opinion about moving the capital city from Jakarta to Kalimantan? Do you think it's effective for development of new and renewable energy? Thank you.
Okay. Wow, that's a very comprehensive question. Inserting the context of it. Okay, so at the first you mentioned about the competitiveness of renewable energy compared to fossil fuel energy, right? And then in terms of readiness, we need to be improved the workforce skill and operation. Okay. So the question is, what do I think about Indonesian geographic potential for new renewable energy? Okay, and my opinion about moving the capital city. Okay, the first question is, what do I think about Indonesian geographic potential for renewable energy? So I think the our electrification of energy, of electricity, for example, is already high in the big city, and it's the 4% that has not been electrified is from rural area because of in the island, because it's too far away from the main grid. We have apa sih tuh di apa tuh yang kayak yang tower-tower besar itu, sutet-sutet gitu ya. Nah, kayak gitu, the grid is not reach to the island. So geographically, we are archipelagic nation. So renewable energy is a great idea to be installed in those areas. So based on the potential of each area. So for example, we want to install in Sumba, the grid, the main grid from, for example, from Suramadu or from, I don't know, from Java Island or for Madura is not reaching to Sumba Island because it's too far, and it will be very costly, very expensive to pull the cable to the Sumba Island. So the answer is, in Sumba Island, on the other hand, have abundant source of light. You don't have a water flowing. It's very dry, because so we cannot install hydropower, but it sunlights, they are very high level of sunlight during the day. So we install the solar panel there, and I think that's quite successful for the context of Sumba, and I think it can be replicate in other area of Indonesia. So so we will increase the electrification in the outer island of Indonesia by using renewable energy. That's the plan for those who has not been electrified. They will use the renewable energy. And also for the second question, moving the capital city to Kalimantan, is it effective for development of renewable energy? So I don't think there are direct impact, direct positive impact for this. I don't know this yet, but I'm quite afraid instead of what will happen next, because here in Kalimantan, we still have forests, And if the capital city, we move the capital city here, there will be new development, new buildings, a new need for electricity. And if we look into the renewable energy, what are the potential here? And I don't think it's it's good to use, for example, solar, biofuel, because we have, this is a vast area of land, and maybe the potential is bioenergy from kelapa sawit. I don't think that's really wise to use, to open the forest to that, for biofuel. So that's one concern about new development here in Kalimantan. But about the policy or the economic side, I don't think there's a direct correlation for it in a good way, but a little bit concerning in a negative way, actually.
Hello. Okay, Dimas, is that enough?
Yes, Miss, it's enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dimas. Thank you, Miss Dina. Said,
Okay.
Okay, Miss, thank you for the chance to ask. My question is, is nuclear energy still considered as renewable energy? Because I see a lot of West countries have used it since long ago. Is it truly efficient as the source of energy, especially the electricity? Why did Indonesia haven't considered to use it? If it about to prevent any tragedy, as long as I know, the Chernobyl and Fukushima tragedy was caused by human error. And many scientists and engineers agreed it should be stable if there's no human error in there. Is sometimes in the future, Indonesia may consider to use nuclear energy as an energy source? That's my question, Miss.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Saika. About nuclear energy. So I'm not the expert too in this one, but I've read something about this. So it's been a huge and ongoing debate and using nuclear energy here in Indonesia and any other country in the world. So we Indonesia, we have Batan, right? So if we consider using this, I would say yes, we are still look for it. We are still developing the potential of nuclear energy, but will it be used in the near future? I don't think so. No, because yeah, I don't know, maybe our technology or our readiness, preparedness is not there yet. While, for example, there are countries already successful using nuclear power, like Paris and maybe Germany. They are almost use almost all the electricity from nuclear power, and they're all successful in that matter. Maybe we can use the nuclear energy as one of the source of renewable energy, but is it considered as renewable? In terms of input, I think it's still considered as renewable. It's only required a small input for the nuclear energy, from what I know. But in terms of waste and in terms of the risk, that's would be the big problem. So people say that the waste of nuclear energy are huge, and it's not yet been found how to process the nuclear power waste, and the risk also is very huge. Back considering what we already know, what happened in Fukushima. So we still have not moved on from that tragedy. So despite there are already advancement in technology, but still people are still traumatized by that tragedy. So especially when it comes to policymaker who don't have the knowledge about the technical or the technology about it, their trauma can impact their decision making greatly. So we need to be more knowledge on this and gain trust from the people about the nuclear energy. And it's still debatable.
Okay. Saika?
It's clear, Miss. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, there's a lot
I
of questions.
Yeah, there's a lot
But
of
that's good.
questions.
I love this discussion.
Okay. Okay. I want to tell you guys, we don't have enough time, but please, if you have question, I already gave you the link on the chat. So just write down your questions so you will get the point out of your question. Although you will not be answered probably, but we have enough time, like about 13 minutes for another question. Faisal? Faisal?
Which one is a Faisal question?
Faisal kan ya?
Question.
Faris salah. Astagfirullah. Sorry, I mean Faris.
Yeah, it's me, Miss.
Okay, go ahead, Faisal. Faris, astagfirullah.
Okay, this one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Faris, Miss. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Muhammad Faisal Gori with name 2109659 in class TE 01. My question is, the existence of renewable energy is certainly very much needed by the people of Indonesia. But why are there still many Indonesian people who haven't had the positive impact of renewable energy? Thank you. I'm sorry for noise in my voice because in my house my mom and her friend sedang senam
Arisan.
sedang senam Zumba,
Senam.
jadi takut.
Senam Zumba.
Mohon maaf berisik ya, Miss.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's okay. That's fine. Okay. Why are there still many Indonesian people who haven't had the positive impact, who maybe haven't experienced positive impact of renewable energy? Okay. First of all, the transition of renewable energy is still in very early stage now. So